So I do apologize about the format for today's videos, ladies and gentlemen. I don't normally start off with the face cam. I normally do a little intro, then get into the reaction, but somehow, some way, my SD card reader managed to snap. Don't ask me how. A new one is on the way, so tomorrow it will be back to normal. But in this video today, we're going to be taking a look at this debate that took place on GB News that was hosted by Jacob Rees-Mogg, as you can see on your screen. And it comes after a judge said that being a non-feminist could be an act of discrimination. All I'm going to say is, arrest me now. But in this debate, we have a woke liberal feminist who comes out with so much delusion, she gets silenced in the best way possible. It's absolutely hilarious to see. Now, before I get into it any further, if you could, as always, make sure to leave a like rating. If you're new, hit that subscribe button. We're getting closer and closer to 70k. Thank you guys so much. Turn on bell notifications so you never miss a video. Comment on this video, share this video, and let's get into it.
As long as others are treated equally under the law, is there one definition of feminism that must be believed? This seems an extraordinary intrusion into personal belief, as opposed to viewing discrimination as an active decision. Well, with me now is my panel, associate commentator at The Telegraph, Mutaz Ahmed, and the historian and broadcaster, Tessa Dunlop. Tessa, is it compulsory, basically, to agree with you? Now, you may think it should be, but is that a sensible way for the law to go?
Isn't that why you have me here? It's your token feminist, so that you aren't entirely shut down by a tribunal, the establishment that is GB News. No, I looked up the definition of feminism for you, Jake, because I thought you might need some help in this area. It is the advocacy of women's rights, people like me, on the basis of the equality of the sexes. So that is baked into law, last updated, as we discovered.
Well, hold on. Baked into law, the equality, and I'm all in favour of that, but advocacy. To say that it is compulsory to advocate something is very different from saying that something is the law of the land.
It's good to see your usual pedantry self.
Yeah, that's what you would expect. It's what my viewers and listeners expect too.
Indeed. It's important to say that this manager, he was an environmental agency manager, therefore he had a level of agency within his agency. They were contesting his maintenance of a non-feminist view. They suggested that was discriminatory, i.e., as a manager, by maintaining non-feminist views.
Hold on a second. It's discriminatory to have non-feminist views. This is what we're doing now.
Impacts on your ability to treat your employees and your co-workers equally.
Does it? If he treated everybody equally, the fact that he didn't believe in feminism was surely his choice.
But he was maintaining his non-feminist stance, which is counter to equality. It runs counter to equality.
What if he didn't do anything about it? Mutaz?
Feminism is not about equality anymore. It's about crushing the patriarchy. It's about women gaining the upper hand over men. That's not equal.
You're another beleaguered male.
I'm not a feminist. You can believe in equality, right? But you don't have to be a feminist to believe it. And if this man is saying he's not a feminist, he might well be saying, I don't believe in crushing the patriarchy. I don't believe in creating an environment that's negative for men.
I understand that you're actually half my age and you perhaps haven't been around quite long enough to understand what feminism literally means in its legal defined context.
Look how condescending she is towards this guy. He makes his point, which a lot of people would agree with, and instantly, well, you're half my age and you're not old enough to understand whatever. What's that got to do with anything? You're twice his age and yet you don't even understand what you're on about, as you're going to see in a few minutes. It kind of looks stupid after a bit, but he's right. Feminism today isn't about equality, you know, and there is such a normalized language within social media, the mainstream media, of bashing men, demonizing men in the name of this woke liberal feminism we see today, and it's all okay if you do that. Yet if a guy says anything remotely similar to what these women say, he then gets cancelled. It's the worst thing on the planet. He's a misogynist, XYZ.
What's happened since you grew up is that the culture wars have taken words like feminism and they've injected them with all kinds of potency, which actually are deeply unhelpful to the cause of equality and the cause of women.
If I don't identify with that word then, which has been injected with all of this politics, am I being discriminatory? If I say in the workplace that I don't believe in DEI, am I saying that I don't believe in racial equality? Of course I'm not. I'm saying that I don't believe in the politics of DEI. I don't believe in the politics of feminism. How is that discriminatory?
Well, I think what we need to do is divorce the definition of feminism from the way in which you clearly see some individuals as using it as a tool to whip the likes of you with and your rights with. I will go back to read the dictionary, Oxford Dictionary definition of feminism, the advocacy of women's rights on the basis of the equality of the sexes.
Very interestingly, when I looked it up in the Oxford Dictionary, it says you should pronounce it feminism, which seems to have gone out of fashion.
I mean, what does it matter what the dictionary says anyway? A word can mean something, but then people take it and then run with it and turn it into something else. So her argument of what it means in the dictionary doesn't really apply here, I don't think, because people aren't using the dictionary definition today. They've created their own definition and ran with something completely different.
And I think that's
Well, that was before even I was born.
But I think that's
Jacob.
Mutaz's point, that words evolve,
Yeah.
and actually what you're saying about a dictionary definition is all perfectly fair and true, but Mutaz's point is absolutely spot on. It has become a political advocacy of something. I'm all in favour, strongly in favour, of equality before the law. I think it is the most fundamental principle of British law. But that doesn't mean that I believe that there is equality of all genders. I don't actually think there are more than two genders anyway. And this judge is on about there being a whole slew of genders. That's very odd, isn't it?
This judge is. I didn't catch that.
He said that his definition of feminism, or as we're all now going to pronounce it, feminism, is that it relates to all genders. Now, once you say all genders, all implies more than two. It's only both genders, isn't it? We would say. I mean, I'm delighted we're having a discussion about the correct use of English, but it's both genders. Now, actually, you're a feminist. How many genders do you believe in?
Well, in the eyes of the law, the protected characteristics of different individuals equates to more than just two sexes. It includes more than two genders.
Right, so for almost 5 minutes, we've listened to this woman try and lecture these guys on something, and now she's just completely thrown everything she stood for, apparently, out the window anyway. You claim to be a feminist, and whatever version of feminism you're at, and you're standing up for women's rights, but now you're saying there's more than two genders, when that in itself erodes the rights of women, because then men who identify as women can go into women's safe spaces, women's sports, take their places away, awards away, opportunities away, whatever. Yet women like this are more concerned with what us men are doing. Really? They'd happily talk about that every single day, but when it comes to that issue, oh no. They're going to tiptoe around it. How does that make any sense? And this is what I mean. These woke liberal feminists do more harm to women than they actually realize, because they push for agendas, they push for narratives that are destructive to women's lives. Yet men like me and others are the ones that get lectured.
So I would say I'm separating sex from gender, and I would say that while I recognise two sexes, there may be more people identify with more than two genders.
Are feminists protected or endangered by a man in a frock going into ladies' loos? I've silenced Tessa, that's the first time.
Silence. Silence. That's just how you know she's coming out with absolute rubbish. Alright, when you're standing there and you're standing up again for women, but you're going to say, oh, but there's more than two genders because of the law, whatever. Really? These people, man.
I'm giving it.
What are the other genders? What are they?
Well, I'm not somebody who identifies out with my gender, which is female, but I know that there are those with protected characteristics, transsexuals, who have a different idea of their own gendered identity, and who am I to quibble with that? I really think what concerns me greatly is that the likes of Jacob Rees-Mogg, who's more likely to be found in the sort of golf house or the gentleman's drinking club than he ever is campaigning for equality and women's rights and worrying about our safety.
This is the issue I have with this debate right now. These two guys are being very respectful, very calm, talking in a calm manner. And because they're simply disagreeing with her version of feminism, she's getting very angry and she is insulting them.
Suddenly gets very hot under the collar if a man wears a woman's frock and says he's a woman and then goes into a female space. In any other context, do you ever get worried about female safety?
No, something that women are concerned about.
Some women, a few women. The only reason we're hearing so much about this is because men like you have jumped on their bandwagon.
No, we're hearing so much about it because of feminists, ironically. It's people like J.K. Rowling.
Yeah, I agree, and it's a rabbit hole that I wish feminism, which has got far greater causes to fight, like equality, justice, economic justice for women.
So, apparently, we only hear about these issues again because of men like Jacob Rees-Mogg, not because, you know, there is a huge issue going on, is because a few guys, perhaps like me as well, we talk about it. We only talk about it because there is a big issue going on and we don't agree with the issue going on. We want it stopped so women then can have their safe spaces, their sports back. That does more for women than anything she said. That does more for women than most of what these woke liberal feminists say. All they care about is bashing men. All they care about is being viewed as better as men. They don't care about actually helping women, because if they did, they wouldn't agree with this movement. If they did, they wouldn't say, yeah, it's okay for a guy to go into whatever space. And then when they make the point about J.K. Rowling, who is a feminist, bringing up this issue, oh, it's a rabbit hole and I wish we could focus on other things. Yeah, well, if you focus on other things and ignore that issue then grows, and then people say, oh, well, maybe we should have focused on that a little bit earlier. Leave your thoughts down below, ladies and gentlemen, on this debate. What are your thoughts on what the woman said? I'd like to know. If you have enjoyed, make sure to leave a like rating. If you're new, hit that subscribe button, turn on bell notifications so you never miss a video. Comment on this video, share this video. But until next time, it has been your boy JD. Have a great day, stay safe, and I'm out. Peace.